Had to get us all
Bad
laughing.
boy up.
Thank you.
All right, I believe we are live. Hello, 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 Facebook world. This is Chris Alicia coming to you with the first episode of the Muses, where myself and my beautiful divine counterparts come to you live every single week to talk about all things spiritual, to really help with the transformation of the world at this time. We've come together from a collective background, very different experiences, very different specialities, all to help the planet ascend at this time. I've got with me some amazing, amazing guests today, or guests, co-hosts today. Wow, not guests at all. Beautiful divine counterparts. Oh, live. I hear sound.
That might have been me.
That's technical issues. Because we are live, we're going to be sharing this out across Facebook. So we invite you all to share this out to your groups, to your pages. The person who shares this out the most at the end of the show will get a free 30-minute Akashic Records session with me. Or you can ask for one of the other ladies too. I didn't talk to them about it beforehand, so I cannot promise you their services. But going around the horn, letting you know who's with us today. We've got Kate Steinle. She's the human design specialist, Reiki master, Qigong instructor, and owner of Discover Your Design, which helps you map out your own unique blueprint for living your fullest potential. Beautiful Katie's divine mission is to awaken everyone to their true, authentic self. On her right, left, depending on where you are, is Kat Bender. She is the owner of Kat Bender Healing Communication. Kat facilitates communication with animals, angels, guides, ascended masters, and also loved ones who have passed on. Her mission is to improve connectivity and understanding between humans and the rest of the natural world. Kat works with people and their animal family members to help them become more skilled with their own intuitive skills and discover their purpose while fully embodying their higher potential. And last but definitely not least, Stephanie Victoria, founder of Kayanna.
Kaliana
Therapeutics, thank you. Focused on transformational healing at a DNA level. Stephanie's work combines high vibe cellular technologies and metaphysical practices. Steph combines her expertise in detox and regenerative cell care with alchemy, custom fitting personal plans for transformation, and aligning within the space of the Akashic Records for everyone from the physical mom to coach or healer. And I am Chris Alicia. I am founder of Ascended Warrior, which is spiritual and mindfulness practices for veterans, first responders, and other survivors of trauma. Together, we learn to embrace our warrior selves, conquer our demons, and live life joyfully. So that is the crew that we've got with you today. Thank you so much for joining us for Muses, our very first episode. Today, we're going to be talking about awakenings. We're going to go around the horn and we're going to be talking about our individual awakenings and how different that looks for every single one of us. No two people will have the same awakening. And when we say awakening, we're talking about your spiritual awakening, that thing that motivated you to become a seeker, to become a healer, to become a teacher. And each of us gets there in a different way. And often those awakenings are painful. So this is a safe space for everybody. Please feel free to comment in the different groups on the different pages. If we don't get to your comments right away, I promise you we will answer them next time. And we're hoping to come to you live every single Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific. So ladies, let's give a quick introduction of yourselves to the crew, starting with Katie.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here. I feel like this was just divine how this all came together with these other beautiful, high-powered goddesses. And I think between the four of us, we all come from such different backgrounds and have just different levels of expertise that you're going to get a lot out of this show. So my background is I come from corporate sales. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I had basically just been climbing the corporate ladder for years and thought my life was perfect. I had house in the suburb, 2 beautiful kids, and marriage. And then about 8 years ago, I lost my mom. And my mom was the closest to me, in my family. And yeah, I lost her quickly, and I was, there holding her hand when she passed. And it just basically, it just broke me wide open, because I grew up in a family of faith, and, I'd always had a belief in God, and, a heaven, if you will, with God up on a throne, and, everybody, bowing down and repenting, and asking for forgiveness. And so it really, now all of a sudden, somebody that I looked up to and loved the most was on the other side. And it really rattled my whole idea of what did exist on the other side. What did heaven look like? Would we ever talk again? And so I just became, I was so broken open, and I was so just desperately searching for answers of any kind. So I remember within like a couple months, I think I probably read about 20 books on anything I could get, near-death experiences, the afterlife. I mean, you name it. I was just trying to like establish, like what was there. And it was tragically beautiful, because it really just sent me on this whole different trajectory, and just started this whole different path of spiritual awakening. And it really made me dive deep within myself, as I think a lot of you guys can relate with, when we lose people, when we're faced with the fragility of life, and you see somebody right in front of you that's 1 minute they're breathing and the next minute they're gone. It just really resonates so deeply with you, like that this little thing called life that we think is so just, happy and perfect, it's not all there is. And so on my journeys, I delved into studying, different religions, and I was doing hot yoga, and then that led to Kundalini yoga, which is it's a very powerful breath work based yoga that really takes a lot of your energy, and it moves it upward, so that you can get it into your upper chakras, and you can really use that to harness and expand your consciousness. And then from there, I went on to work with Emily Harrison and learning to read your Akashic Records, which is where I've met all of these 4 beautiful goddesses. That is what connects us all. And again, it's just tapping into that higher consciousness that is available to us all and has all the answers. It's our guides, it's our loved ones, it's our angels, it's just that place of love and non-judgment. And from there, I continued on, and my spiritual awakening led me to go from there to Reiki, which is just, again, moving energy, if you will, from the Akash, from that place of all knowing down in through you into other people on a physical level. And I became a Reiki master, and always the student, never satisfied, I guess, with, expanding and growing. I went on to start working with Qigong, which is, it's kind of the Chinese equivalent of Reiki. It's moving medical meditation, just really being able to harness universal environmental energies that are available to us all. Just going out in nature, you find that your spirits are lifted, right? It's because you're taking in and you're absorbing all of this beautiful life force that exists around us. And so Qigong, I've been doing now for about 5 years. I became instructor certified, and that has been so profoundly healing, opening me up energetically, empowering me to really see, you don't have to have all the answers and feel like, all the pressure is on you. It's all available to you if you need it. And it's just about intention and knowing what to tap into. And I've witnessed so many people just heal themselves from things that Western medicine couldn't fix, like, cancer, Qigong's great for diabetes, fibromyalgia, things that, just people just seem to get real roadblocks at. And so from there, I ended up, that led me into human design, which is phenomenal. I encourage you. It's kind of like up and coming. So some people have heard of it, some people haven't. But if you haven't, strongly encourage you to go research it, to go check out my website. I've got a lot of information on there. It's katiesteinle.com, Steinle. And basically, human design encompasses all of the great esoteric wisdoms that have been with us for centuries with modern DNA genetics and quantum physics. So it's kind of like astrology on steroids. It will answer any depth of question that you could ever want. And so for somebody like me, that my spiritual awakening, was, me becoming, a student of the universe and really wanting to embody and take these abstract concepts. And the way my human design works genetically is I have the ability to do that and take very complex things and break them down in a way that I can explain them out to people so that they understand. And it's easy and it's simple and they can apply it to their day-to-day life. So I've been studying human design now for several years, and that's probably my favorite thing, just because again it encompasses so much. So from there I am still growing and learning. I just went on a beautiful retreat. The four of us just spent some time in Mount Shasta, which I'm sure everybody will probably share a story or two. And it just took us all to a whole entirely new level of just when you think you're open, you can always open up more and you can always go deeper within. And I think that that's kind of the message that we want to leave you with today, right? It's like, let's just share and build community and come together in this time where everybody's isolating and everybody's just feeling separate and alone. And let's do the opposite of that and grow a movement together and spread some love. That's what I'm about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Katie. And to all those people who are writing in and saying hello, thank you so much for joining us. Rhonda, Emily, Belinda's on here. We've got people from Canada. We've got people from the South coming in. Adriana, hello to all of you. Thank you so, so much for joining us. Please share this out. As Katie said, we're trying to build a community. We're trying to let people know that they are not alone in this crazy ass awakening time that we find ourselves in. So Stephanie, Katie, I think you might be disappearing anytime now. So Steph, if you wouldn't mind, she's at a hotel. So if she pops in and out, it's totally divine timing. So she will speak as soon as she can.
I wasn't sure if maybe we wanted to just let her go since she happened to be on the screen.
That's true. She's absolutely right. Kat, if you would like to give us an introduction of yourself,
While
please.
she has a quick second.
I have a quick second, maybe. And I apologize in advance if that's all it is. I am Kat, and my awakening, I guess, happened as I was pulled from corporate America by the gift of cancer. I had a rockin' career that I was enjoying a lot, and got a little bit of a surprise, and it pulled me out of what I was doing and into quite a long time of not being able to do really anything. And the gift of that time that I discovered was that all that quiet time and downtime and alone time allowed me to experience and investigate the awareness that I had of communication, other realms, things that were going on around me that I think I probably had always been aware of on some level, but it was not a very conscious level, not far in the forefront of my mind. I had ignored it to some degree. And I think I also had assumed that everyone experienced what I was experiencing. So I actually had some interesting experiences, but it kind of started with insects, which I don't know if that's usual or unusual, to be honest with you, no idea. But I paid attention and I learned a lot from those little beings over the course of a couple of years. And it then started to graduate. I don't want to use that word graduate. It started to expand to other beings, flying friends and dogs, cats, horses, everybody. I was introduced to the Akashic Records, and that really opened up some things for me as well. And this journey over the last, I would say probably about 8 years, has, it's still, I'm still on it, and it's still changing, evolving, and opening up, and communication from human people who've crossed over, actually not just human people who've crossed over. And that's kind of where I play, where I dance. I like to facilitate communication for others, to help them to move through things that they need to move through, understand things that they benefit from understanding. And I am all about, probably just like the rest of us, the awakening, helping others with theirs, to better understand and navigate, to hone intuitive skills, to increase connectivity, and really about connecting humans with the rest of the natural world, the rest of all the people, 4 legs, 2 legs, fur, hair, feathers, so that we can all learn from each other, grow with each other, and create a more beautiful, sustainable place. That's my spiel.
Beautifully said. And you stayed on the whole time.
I'm so excited.
All right, Steph, I promise to the audience, she is not naked. It only looks like that when it dips down a little bit. She even got dressed for us. It's not her natural state of being, but
I did, no. I'm so happy to be here with all of you ladies. Stephanie Victoria here. So a little bit about my awakening. Ooh. It was one of those ugly ones. I tell people that I was shot from a rocket, and in light of the way I'm dressed today, I might have even been naked at the time. It was something that just kind of came out of nowhere, I guess, for me. And I don't know, like, on this road of awakening, who of the 4 of us has been on the road the longest? I know it's like one of those, can you ever really pinpoint the day kind of things, because everything weaves together. But I could jump back really when I started like aggressively awakening, probably 3 years ago. Not that long. And like I said, you could back it up and attribute it to other things. And for me, it was food. That was what drew me. I don't laugh now because I don't know. I do need to laugh. I need to laugh about it. But it's one of those things that for a lot of people is a trigger. Like, to hear me talk about food and how it contributed to my awakening, I've discovered it has been a trigger for a lot of other people. Like, I'm a vegan, right? So that weirdo that doesn't eat animals, yeah, that for me was part of my journey. It's what catapulted me into a higher vibrational state and allowed me to really get that authentic life force energy flowing within me, and take my consciousness to a level that it hadn't been before. I was very unhealthy for a lot of years and was on already at the time of my awakening this journey of cellular health, cellular detox and regeneration, fueling the body, feeding the body at a cellular level, healing the cells, allowing the cells to function how they should. Elimination diets, all kinds of things to pinpoint what it was that was really going to make me tick. And at the end of the day, it was life force, and that was it. And it sent me on this path of taking things out of my life that I had been accustomed to for a very long time. So I guess I could say at the beginning of my awakening, it was like, how many things can I change kind of perspective. It was like, okay, now I see what's happening when I change things in my life, and I'm getting a different outcome, and I'm feeling differently, and I'm looking at things differently, and I'm conscious of different things. And like I said, for me, it was food. So I started ripping everything away and found myself, eating a salad naked in the backyard. So well grounded and full of life force. But really, I joke, but I battled chronic respiratory illness for 20 years plus, and wasn't a well person. On a day-to-day, just a regular day-to-day, I was pretty all right, but I had these cyclical appearances of really difficult, really painful illness that would come like clockwork for a long time. It was like I knew I could wake up in the morning and just have a little bit different of a feeling about myself. And now here we go into like, how much was my mind playing into everything that was happening at the same time? My state of consciousness at that time. I would have that little different feeling in the morning, and I'd be like, oh, this is it. Here we go again. And I would unravel it all for myself. So, going through what I went through with food and beginning to see what I feed my cells with differently set me on this journey of healing that was palpable, that I was experiencing, and it was blowing my mind at every corner, going, oh my gosh, okay, so if I take that out, it changes this in my body. Okay, if I take that out, it changes this in my body. And then started doing that for other people too. It wasn't until just a couple of years ago when I found the Akashic Records and I found Nutrigenomics at the same time. So Nutrigenomics is the study of how our food interacts with our DNA. And we know, just in the metaphysical realm, in the energetic realm, in the spiritual realm, there's so much that we can do to activate our DNA. And to that same point, there's so much we can do in the 3D. So that really has become my focus, having already been on the journey, coming across the Akashic Records and DNA healing, Nutrigenomics at the same exact time. I personally don't know how to separate them anymore, because I'm feeling and experiencing the change in my physical body and my energetic body as I change what I physically put into my body and the energy about me, the way that I function, what practices I tap into energetically, and how those things meet each other, the 3D and the 5D. All of that happened to me, the discovering Nutrigenomics and finding the records, all happened at the same time as losing my mom. Katie, when I heard you say that, it just brought up another synchronicity for me, because going through that and experiencing that change in your own vessel, in your own consciousness, the way that you see the world, the way that you see yourself, the way that you treat yourself and love yourself, and the way that all those things wrap up together to create the world that you're living in. Now drop in like lost a loved one. You know what I mean? And I can hear my mom kind of laughing in the background, like, well, that's how it had to happen, sis. It's such a beautiful thing to have that extra super spiritual aspect infused into the work that I was doing at that time, and to be guided in that way through that process. It's become so big for me that I've almost talked myself into a loss of words now. So that's really what it looked like. That shot me out of a cannon kind of thing. It all happened at the same time. That trifecta, the DNA, nutrition, the Akashic Records, and the the spiritual presence that I found and discovered was so palpable. And so for me, so that spiritual presence of my mom has become so tangible. It's such a beautiful thing. And to have all that wrapped up in one experience has been really profound for me and for the clients that I serve. So I'm grateful to be on the journey and to be on it with all of you.
It's funny that no matter how many awakened stories I hear, they all sound like cataclysmic. It's not one thing that's going wrong. It's everything that's going wrong all at the same time. And it's because the universe is not gentle. We aren't listening enough for the universe to be like, hey, just gentle pat. Hey, are you ready? Are you ready?
No, it's like,
oh, I know. They got the baby powder. It's all ready. It's ready to just lay into you.
Yeah, not listening enough. And also, even when we do kind of hear it, most of us look the other way and go, no, not now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's interesting, like you said, like the unrelentlessness, I guess, or the relentlessness of the universe, because even just triggering my opening and awakening with losing my mom, I immediately went from that to my dad's health declining. I held his hand and let him go just 2 years after that. And then right after that, I had one of my closest friends pass from cancer. And then I actually just lost my son in January, but just turned 18 years old. And I am just like, what in the heck? You know, like I know from a bigger perspective and 30,000 foot view, it's as I go more into what Stephanie's saying, you know, really connecting with everything and knowing that this is not the only thing that is, right? That's the universe encouraging me to use these gifts and these talents and these skills that, you know, I'm learning about and opening myself up to along the way. But to Chris's point, nobody that I've talked to that's experienced any kind of spiritual awakening has said it's been like rainbows and butterflies. It is broken open. And just when you think, like, I feel like sometimes just when I like pick myself up, you know, like the universe sucker punches me again. But it's, you have to, I mean, it's not for the weak. I think they say in the Bible, enter through the narrow gate, you know, because it is definitely something that can be the most beautiful and magical experience, but you really have to let go of a lot of like you were saying, stuff, 3D stuff, the material stuff, and really start to work with, you know, things that are larger than just you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, though, to focus on often the fact that while it may not be gentle, it is often lovely. It is often wonderful, and even in the midst of the difficulty, the messages, the things, the synchronicities that show up, the sort of being held by the universe, and the magic that shows up, that and in relatively short order, when you do dive in, how you step into that, what I'm going to call faith, and in what's happening, the comfort of what's happening, and it does become a source of comfort and motivation, and you know, I think I said already, but adventure is the big word that comes to mind. It's not often easy. Sometimes it is for people. It's not often easy, but I don't know how difficult it is either. I think it's more unfamiliar than it is difficult. It's definitely navigatable. That might be a made-up word. And when I look back, I don't know about how you ladies feel about this, but when I look back, I wouldn't change 1 minute of it. I wouldn't change one piece of it. I would take all of the moments, the more beautiful and less beautiful, the more ridiculous and less ridiculous. I would take them all for where I am, hands down.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It doesn't feel like that when you're going through it,
No.
for sure. And it's never just one crucible. It's multiple times you have to go through this. That's why they call it the dark night of the soul. Each and every time you're going through something painful, it's like the universe is asking you to choose again. Do you want to go forward or do you want to stop? Do you want to go forward or do you want to stop? Now, each time you go forward, it opens up even more magic and even more joy, but you have to make that choice every single time you're going through that crucible. And it can be very, very painful.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
But you're right. You still wouldn't want to go back. It's like that the experience, the blood, sweat, and tears, for lack of a better way to put it, that you invest on the journey.
Mhm.
It's like my 17-year-old and I just a couple of days ago talking about, like, just hypothetically, like, if you could, would you want to, I don't know, say, red pill yourself? No, wait, or is it the blue? Which one?
Whichever
is it?
one. It's a major reference.
Would you want to go back? And she looks at me with this crazy look in her eye, and she's like, Mom, it took us way too much to get here. What are you talking about? I'm like, you're right. It's like,
Wise words.
no. It's like, why would you want to do all this again? Why would you want to, because you couldn't help but still be set on that same path.
Mm-hmm.
That same path of awakening.
That's a really good point. I mean, you're on your path from the moment that you get here. You are on your path, and you can't not be on your path because you are you.
Yep.
And so why not embrace? I mean, you came here for a reason,
Absolutely. And if not in this lifetime, it will be in another lifetime. I mean, I procrastinate on a lot of stuff, I'm not gonna lie, but this is not one I want to procrastinate on. If I signed up for it, I'm going through it. And Melinda had an awesome comment here for you, Katie. It says, I love that Katie broke open. Divine, you brought me to it. Take me through it.
Oh, thank you,
beautiful.
Melinda. That is beautiful. That is one that I am going to write down and remember. I truly appreciate that love and support, because like the ladies were saying, I've been to hell and back. I forgot to mention, in the midst of all that, my boss shot himself at work. So it's been nonstop. But I have had the most magical, otherworldly, I could tell you guys story after story of, as I have gone through these, transitions with people, the magical experiences that I am like, did that really just happen? And it's like you can't even make it up. It's so beautiful and it's so profound. And here I started out on my journey questioning what heaven is like, and through these experiences, I have each time grown and seen more of what heaven is like, and how connected we are. So I think, Kat, you were mentioning something about that earlier. You're right. It's all divinely meant and inspired. And to Chris's point, we have free will, like with human design. I mean, I can give you your life trajectory, and it's very planned out. Like when you sit down for an astrology reading, it always blows my mind that I can sit down and they can say, based on your time of birth, this thing that's going to happen at 50 actually happens at 50. It's like, what the heck? But we all have free will choice in each moment. And those individual choices can either take you, way off track, and like Chris said, then you'll come back and you'll repeat until you get it. Or, you can kind of make the correct choices and align, and it keeps you on track. And whatever that looks like is whatever it's supposed to look like, and that's the beauty in it.
And you can see examples of both sides of that path. You see people who go through the loss that you're talking about,
Yes.
loss of a child, and they choose alcohol, they choose drugs, they choose to really close themselves off. And other people, they choose to open themselves up more. I guess maybe that's really what the bottom line is. Do you want to close off because it hurts? Or do you want to open yourself up despite the fact that it hurts, and just allow the universe to give you more and more?
Comes down to how you respond.
And heal that hurt, right? That's how you heal that hurt. You open yourself up and engage, and the possibility for healing, everything, every level, every depth, is absolutely endless.
It really is. That's so well said. I love it.
And very counterintuitive. You think when we get a wound, you want to close up over the wound to protect it. It's really asking you to go against that human nature and go to your divine nature. How would a divine being handle that pain? And that's
Good
to
point.
open up and let that light in and heal it.
Mhm.
You know
And then-
what? Okay, so this is coming up, and I have to say it because I've never had it come through like this before, and it's actually really cool. This takes me all the way down to a cellular level,
Mm,
to our deepest healing mechanism at a cellular level is signaling in the cells. And what that requires is for the cells to react and respond with each other.
mm.
If they're closed off, if they don't have
Yeah.
access to one another, if they can't communicate with one another, it's bad news bears all day long. They just seriously, those damaged cells just keep reproducing and they just get more and more ugly and they create more and more havoc.
Infection. Yeah.
So talk about go against your human intuition, but our deepest mechanism is to open up.
Mm.
Yeah. And I would just questioning lifetime here. Is it really our human intuition to close off, or is that something that we learn from
Programmed.
society, from families, verbalization, socialization, all those sorts of things? Because when we watch children
Mm.
who are hurt, that is not what they do.
They don't run to the corner by themselves.
No, they reach out for
They look
others.
for
They
help.
reach out for those
Yeah.
who love them, right?
Yeah.
And all the rest of the animal kingdom too. You know, when they need, they don't go isolate some unless it's a, not a pack animal, whatever. But that isn't the way that I think we're meant to play out. And that's such a brilliant point, Steph. The microcosm going to the macrocosm, there's no difference there. It's not meant to be.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I love that.
Yeah. There's a book right there. That's a whole.
That was actually really something that you said, some way that you said that triggered that vision in my head of that cellular mechanism. And it is what it is. It's a cell. A cell either gets what it needs from the cells around it and performs its natural repair and replace function, or it shuts off, isolates, becomes sick, and reproduces at an increasing rate. So it's one or the other. You
Yeah.
don't get to have both.
And
That cell has to do one or the other. It either communicates with the cells around it and stays connected, or it isolates and reproduces a bunch of ugly stuff that you don't want in your body or your universe, as the case may be.
Absolutely incredible. And 100% right. You think about animals or even people who have been in abusive relationships, that instinct to curl up and protect themselves is something that they've learned over time. That they learn that if they cover up, they can protect some of their vital organs. That
part's
abuse.
instinctual.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's the push and the pull of it, right? Yeah, like even on a cellular level. Yeah, that's really cool. So Chris, we haven't gotten to you.
Yes. My awakening was as catastrophic as so I am a super stubborn person. I am very atypical for a spiritual person. I am militant. I have deployed. I still work with the military. I was active duty in the military. I like guns. I carry a gun. I'm super different than a lot of spiritual people. Although I do walk around my house naked. So maybe that's where we bond. But I'd always been spiritual. Even as a kid, I loved religion. I loved studying it. I was never in one religion, but I liked Native American tradition. I liked paying attention to my dreams. When I joined the military, I really got out of that because it wasn't my focus. I was working all the time, no days off. And the statute of the military is very straight-laced. There's no room in it for true spirituality. Although religion is a part of the military, true spirituality is not. So when I got out of active duty and I was still working, I was working in DOD as a civilian, Department of Defense. My body was breaking down. I had a lot of pain from the military. I hated my job. I just loathed going in every day. The guy I was dating was a foreigner, and I was told I had to give him up because of my job. So now I'm living in an apartment that I cannot afford. I'm completely freaking broke. I've got medical treatments that I cannot afford. I'm in so much pain I can't sleep. I hate my job. And I've lost the person that I love. And that's great. I can handle all that, just put that on my shoulders. I'll hold it and I'm going to keep trucking. Then a ghost appears in my house. And it still feels just goofy as hell saying this because I had never seen spirits. But all of a sudden, my house was genuinely haunted. Every time I would go to sleep, something started touching me and it would pull the covers off of my bed and it would just pull on my leg. And I would have those dreams where you're getting pulled off the bed, the ones that jerk you awake, to the point where I felt scared of the dark in my own house. I started sleeping with the light on. And I would wake up and see this foggy mass sitting in the corner of my room. And I would stare at it, hoping it would turn into something logical, right? It's the coat rack. Hells to the no. This thing would start to morph and come to me.
Oh my
To the
God.
point where I'm like straight boogeyman now. I'm like, all right, I'm going to close my eyes and just, it's going to go away. I'm going to Hail Mary, this thing is going away. And it started to, I'd wake up and now it's above me and it was red.
Whoa.
And I would have friends, I would tell them about it and they would make jokes. They named him Charlie. And I'm like, oh, Charlie, leave Chris alone. And the temperature in the house would drop. I'm like, stop talking to Charlie. Charlie doesn't like when you talk to him. So I was just crashing. And my dad was a student of Edgar Cayce when he was younger. And they have the ARE in Virginia Beach and they do retreats and they have beautiful bookstores. And he told me about it. He's like, why don't you get away for a weekend, go to this ARE retreat up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I'll pay for it. Just go, get out of your house, go away. I wasn't sleeping. And that was the first time I meditated. I cried every single day, pretty much every single hour for that entire weekend. Every meditation was just cracking me open to just see what I had repressed while I was in the military, to see how much I just wasn't honoring myself. And when I came back, although that ghost was still there, it never touched me again. It was never there when I woke up. It was the universe saying, you are not paying attention and now you shall suffer. And I had so many profound moments after that one weekend where I was seeing rainbows all over the sky. Everywhere I looked were just rainbows. They were in the water. They were on the ground. Every moment just felt so aha. I looked at energy healing, past lives, reincarnation work, everything I could get my hands on. I just became a ferocious student. And that definitely wasn't my only awakening. I had other times where I had to choose if I was willing to, if I was strong enough to keep going forward. Like Kat, I had cancer, I had breast cancer in my at 29. And I had to decide, how do I want to face this? Do I want to face it as a spiritual person with joy and look for the meaning behind it? Or do I want to get really pissed off and say, why is this happening to me? And that's like a minute to minute question. Every minute my answer is going to be slightly different. But I have learned very, very clearly that if I am not doing what the universe wants me to do, it will not give me the option anymore. It will take that rug right out from under my feet and say, you need to pay attention. So an awesome awakening. And that, thank you, Charlie, the ghost, my ghost, Charlie.
Props to
I never
Charlie.
saw Charlie again. He was just gone.
He was just gone. I'm not gonna lie, I did move out of that house fairly soon after, because that was it. I don't like things touching on me when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Second that.
My gosh. That is freaky.
It's just incredible how our stories, all of our stories have that element of, one, you have to stand up as powerful women. Now, the world is taking stuff away from us, or it's forcing us to stand up and be stronger than we realize we can be. And how do you want to do that? What does that look like? And I love that each and every one of us has faced that shadow time and we're like, you know what, I'm going through it.
You guys are amazing.
And that we all have said that, looking back, there's not regret for having done that, even in the face of adversity. With the exception of my son, that's fresh. You guys can understand. I'm still like working through, like you said, Chris, moment to moment, but I will get there. I will get there. And yeah, it's a journey, like, nothing.
That's a tough one. I mean, how do you say that's a tough one? It's just, that's not that they're all not tough, but that's a tough one.
But it is, I love what Chris said. I mean, I just love it because, yeah, it does take strength. Definitely. I would think that the four of us have some strength, some inner strength. That's one thing I learned in Qigong. It's interesting. You get a lot of people that gravitate towards the martial arts, obviously, because it's a martial art. And you can have the toughest, most muscular, strong, fighter kind of people, but true strength is internal. And Bruce Lee, that was the whole thing with Bruce Lee, is like he was this tiny little guy, and he barely had to like move like an inch, and he could fling somebody pretty much across the room. And it was because he had harnessed so much internal strength, while all these other people are working on the external strength. So I love it. Like, if you guys ever get a chance, just Google him and Google some of his quotes. The guy's got some pretty deep quotes,
That's very cool.
Yeah. Him and Einstein. You would think Einstein would be this like total just science guy, but the more that he delved into science, as a lot of our modern day scientists are, the more he really realized that there is something out there that is greater than can be explained. And he has some amazing quotes.
Mm-hmm. He is one of my favorites, and he was into alchemy. Him and Isaac Newton were both into alchemy and trying to figure out how to ascend. Alchemy is not about actually turning material into other material. It's not metal into gold. Metal is the human soul, and you're turning into gold, which is the etheric soul. So it's the ascension of the soul. And a lot of his work was in that. Like, how do you prove that spirituality is real? So he is absolutely one of my favorite. I love him. And Tesla as well.
Yes. Well, maybe they'll talk about you one day like that, Chris.
I don't know.
And maybe this entire experiment is designed in such a way that there's no way to prove what some people have spent so much time and energy trying to prove, because that's part of the gig. That's part of the game, is being able to take the ride, sort of invest in the magic, learn, navigate, and step into all of this with a faith that allows you to function differently. And without that faith, it's a very different journey.
You're absolutely right. I posted that on Facebook, questions to know if you're spiritual. And the first one was, can you believe things without having to see them? Can you believe what is unprovable? And one of the guys just said no. I'm like, all right, our conversation's done. Like, we're participating.
So much for that.
I got no follow-up, but you're 100% right. You have to have faith in what you're feeling more than what you can see.
And then you start to see.
And then you start to see. And what brought us all together, I think what really solidified us all was that trip to Shasta with Emily and the crew, a lot of whom are on here now. You see magic. You really do see the universe start to maneuver you into places to have these experiences, to prove to you that you're doing the right thing.
And you get to a point where you literally can see it, like to Kat's point, like with you, Charlie, like you can actually see stuff that's magical. You have no other way to explain it. And how cool is that?
Cooler. Nothing cooler, hands down. Nothing cooler.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we all probably posted pictures, but on my Facebook group, Discover Your Design, I had posted a couple pictures when we were at Mount Shasta, and we just hiked up to this point that is just known to be it's kind of like Sedona. It's one of those spiritual vortexes where the energy is more amplified and powerful. And the guide had just said, hey, let me grab some pictures of the group. And so we were all standing by this rock, And it's known for Saint Germain, which is associated with the violet flame, and so purple light. And there was no filter on this guy's camera, and he took multiple, like 10, 20 pictures, and they were all the same. And there's just this perfect cascade of this brilliant purple violet light on each and every one of us in the picture. And I mean, I'm like, are you sure you didn't have something special you did? And we were all just blown away. Like, you can't, we were there, we saw it, it was beautiful.
That picture is mind blowing.
Yeah, because then it's like you can, even people that weren't there can experience it, right? And that's how and to everybody's saying, really the key is to stay open. Just we appreciate everybody that's listening today, just to have an open mind. Unlike the guy that checked the first box and was out, like just to have an open mind to just listen to, people share their stories. And that's how it happened for me with the spiritual awakening. The more that I just opened up to, well, I wonder, well, maybe that could happen, like start using your imagination and listening to other people's experiences. And then all of a sudden you find yourself starting to have them. And you start to see the synchronicity happening. That was huge for me, is just the coolest thing ever. When you can start to like sit back and notice like, oh my gosh, the synchronicity of me thinking about this. And then all of a sudden this came in, somebody just popped into my life and said exactly what I was thinking about. Like, it's beautiful. It's cool. It's powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's, for me, the big thing was realizing that I wasn't alone on the journey. Going on that retreat and being around like-minded people. And it was a much older group than me. Edgar Cayce's group are traditionally in their 60s and 70s, but I knew them. I was immediately comfortable with them. I felt that I'd known them forever, and the subjects they were talking about were just talking to me. It was everything I was going through, and they're just laying it out. That feeling of, you are absolutely not alone in this journey. It's real.
Yeah.
And that all these people are here to support you. It was just such a great feeling for me. That's what got me really excited.
That changes everything. Finding that community, it changes everything. It really, the support, the understanding, the knowledge, the ability to talk about things, figure things out, learn things from each other, bridge gaps, fill in details, because the people that show up as part of your tribe are never accidental either, right? I mean, they're not people that you ever, it seems like it always works out this way. They're all over the place. You never would have met them any other way. It's kind of odd how y'all come together, and you can't imagine your life without them ever.
Well, Kat, what did we go? I think we knew each other for what, a good 5 years before we even met. And it was all just, I know, how bizarre is that? Like, only in like modern day. It was all from just Zoom trainings that we had done, in the Akashic course together. And then us just keeping in touch because we had an instant connection. But I mean, that's amazing.
It is amazing. It was great. I honestly, meeting all of you at that retreat might be the single best moment of my life.
Oh, wow.
It's just, I don't really have the words for how that, I don't feel the same. I haven't felt the same since then. The soul family, I guess, we're all so different and so similar. And I just love you all.
Love you too.
Oh, I love you guys too.
I'm so crying on our first show.
I know. Sorry.
You cried through the whole Mount Shasta trip.
I was thinking about that when you said something about your first retreat, and I was like, oh yeah. Because I cried through the whole thing. It was one thing after the other, and it speaks to, well, what everybody's speaking about right now, really, which is the synchronicities that just anchor in your experience.
Yeah.
You're able to see them in real time, and just one after the other. You're having these synchronicities pop up, and I don't know how many times that week I said, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. And I remember how many times, Chris, did you and I cross paths and you looked at me and my face had tears on it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm still crying. I don't know why we know Stephanie's still crying.
It's like a purging of the soul. And that's why I say you have multiple awakenings. And that was absolutely one for you. Sometimes you need to cry. It's a detoxing method for your body.
Absolutely. I cried, but I also had a couple of nice emotional outbursts.
Healthy.
Healthy stuff. Thank you guys for being my cellular tribe. Seriously. The people that I could be open with and turn to and experience that with and not turn away from it
or face judgment or yeah, totally.
Such a beautiful thing.
I did a study on soul groups recently, and soulmates group is your closest group. It's the group that your souls are originally born with. You travel from the beginning of time together. And one thing I learned by doing this was that we think of soulmates as somebody that is physically in our bubble. You know, our parents, our kids. But when I looked at my own soul group, I realized there were people that I had never met and actually never needed to meet. They supported my journey in some way, shape, or form just by doing the work that they were doing. And you can feel it when you look at them, that they are part of your original soul. You know, we're all here to support each other and to be that for each other. So meeting was like the cherry on the top of the ice cream sundae, right? It was an absolute divine gift that it got to happen, but it didn't need to happen for me to know that you guys were a part of my soul group.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're happy to be part of your soul group. What are you talking about?
That's the coolest thing. Yeah. Like you said, Steph, you can't make this up. I mean, all of us, how we just came together like glue and we're already planning like where we're going to go next. And and we come from Chris and I could not be further apart. I'm in Seattle, Washington. You're on the East Coast. I mean, we're all over the US, you know, it's just really cool. So we hope you guys will continue to tune in and hang with us and watch us, and we'll all just kind of grow together and we'll build our own little community, right? We'll build our own non-judgmental, open, you know, like wondrous, exciting time.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you for being here with us on this journey as we share our stories, our testimonies, and how we've come together. It's an honor to be in this place with all of these humans who are here watching, chiming in, learning, growing, all of us together. I've heard Chris say, I don't know how many times, we're all teachers and students, and we know that's true. So thank you for being here with us. You've been listening to Katie and Chris and Kat and myself, Stephanie Victoria. You can catch us here every Monday. We'll be here 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern. Did I get that right?
You did.
If you're in Central like me, it's 1 p.m. All right, for you Central people.
We need to move to Zulu time, people.
Zulu time.
She will get us there.
Thank you so much for being with us, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Muses.